Magomed Ankalaev might be the best fighter at light heavyweight in the UFC. The guy is on an incredible tear, and despite all of the Ankalaev shenanigans, he continues to win. He doesn't let anything that goes wrong, like the Blachowicz fight, the Walker fight, the original one, and the Ion Kutlaba fight, he doesn't let any of that really get to him, and he continues to win. He has one of the top winning streaks in the UFC. Magomed Ankalaev might be the best 205 pounder on the planet, and he doesn't even have the title. So what does that say? He took on Johnny Walker in another rematch last night. The guy wastes his career away on rematches. But he took on Johnny Walker and absolutely looked great. The first round wasn't as good of a round, sure, but once he kind of got his read, because Ankalaev always takes his time. He's always a little slower to get started. But once he got his read, whoa, it was game over, and it was a wonderful fight. So today we're talking about Magomed Ankalaev, as well as the rest of that UFC Vegas 84 card. A lot of the fights on that, not all of them, because I don't watch all of them. I'm not wasting my time watching all of them, because a lot of them I don't care about. No comment, I won't say. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's just start at the top. Magomed Ankalaev. So Johnny Walker came out firing hot. I mean, he was like old school Johnny Walker. And I'm like, yeah, this looks kind of fun. And he's throwing all kinds of crazy kicks, question mark kicks. He threw a couple axe kicks. Tonight we saw two people throw axe kicks. It's kind of weird. But he threw an axe kick a couple times. He was doing a really good job finding Magomed Ankalaev's legs. That's one thing that Ankalaev has not been good at. We saw it in the Blachowicz fight, and we saw it in other fights. Magomed Ankalaev is not very good at checking low kicks. Tonight, he showed that he was a little bit better at that. But in the first round, it took him a little bit. He checked some of them. He didn't check all of them, and he didn't actually check most of them. So I like the improvement I saw from Ankalaev with him checking low kicks, because obviously it is a problem, and if he doesn't address it, he'll end up like Stephen Thompson, where people are like, yeah, just kick his legs and you'll be all right, because he'll end up being 38 one day and not knowing how to check leg kicks. That's part of becoming a crafty vet, is learning new things and finding weaknesses and making yourself better at it. And Ankalaev looks like he's doing that. So that first round, it was funny because Ankalaev was landing the low kicks, but Walker wasn't scared to throw them back. But weird, at the end of the round, he kind of kicked him in the groin, got a hard warning, and who can blame him after the way the last one ended? Oh my gosh, can you imagine if Ankalaev would have been disqualified for another groin shot? Oh man, I would have died laughing. That would have been absolutely hilarious. But yeah, Magomed Ankalaev comes out in the second round, and Johnny Walker throws another axe kick in that second round. He threw two axe kicks this fight. I was like, wow, this is weird. And earlier in the night, we had an axe kick too. I think that was Farid Basharat, maybe. But Walker, started to get put on the back foot. And when Ankalaev came forward, and you see this a lot with Walker, he's cool to come forward, but if you're not scared of his power, especially after that first round, if you're not scared of his power, he's going to be like, yo, what's going on here? Is he not scared of me? What, I'm scared. He starts to doubt himself. It makes me sad, So yeah, really good performance for Magomed Ankalaev here. I really like what he saw, because Walker, he stepped in, he threw a kick, actually was what it was. He threw a kick, and he starts to lean, and he starts to back out, but his hands are down because he's Johnny Walker, and he doesn't do the good things that he should do because he's Johnny Walker. Fun fighter, dumb fighter. Magomed Ankalaev caught him with a right hand, and this guy just doesn't know how to fall. I don't know. He's the most cartoonish guy ever. I guess it's because he's so tall. When Johnny Walker gets knocked, because we saw it with Jamal here, the weird knockout. But he just cartoonishly falls and crumbles. Like I said, I think it's because he's tall, and he struggles to stay awake. This is his last shot, I think, at a title. Walker might want to move up to heavyweight, but then again, his chin's not there, so what's that going to do at heavyweight, As for Ankalaev, we got we got several options we can do with Magomed Ankalaev, including like let's see. Well, first of all, there's the Alex Pereira title fight. And I really like that fight actually, because Pereira's wrestling's not great. It's only getting better though. He's shown improvement, but he's never really fought wrestlers. He fought Prohaska, who wrestled. He fought who was that? Blachowicz. We just talked about him. Fought Blachowicz that wrestled him, and he survived, and he managed to get the win in both of those fights. The Prohaska fight was a knockout. So, yeah, it's an interesting fight because Magomed Ankalaev still is not great at checking leg kicks, and I'm sure he relies on a lot of telegraphing, and that's not something Alex Pereira does. I could see them making this fight next. Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev, that is. I can see them making that fight next. The only holdup to that will be what the UFC wants to do with Alex Pereira, because they have a really a hot storyline they can set up with him versus Israel Adesanya. So if you think about it, like Alex Pereira, we're not gonna talk about the two kickboxing fight. We'll say they're 1-1 in MMA, even though they're really not, because Izzy lost twice. But they're 1-1 in MMA. Izzy once went up and tried to challenge for the light heavyweight belt against Jan Blachowicz and lost. Alex Pereira, his arch nemesis, went up and got it. So now, with Israel Adesanya having a win over Alex Pereira, the most recent loss on Alex Pereira's record, by the way, he can go up there and challenge for the title. Now, Alex Pereira was chewing him up in that fight. Alex Pereira was beating Israel Adesanya in that second fight bad, chewing him up with those low kicks and everything. So it'd be an interesting fight. I don't know if they'll book that, or if they'll book Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira because of that. But then you also have Jamal Hill, who's also an option for Ankalaev going forward here too. So if UFC does go with Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya, say at UFC 300, you're looking at Jamal Hill like, hey, what do I do? And, hearing he might come back in August, but Ankalaev might want to get in there and get another win. They might say, hey, get a win over former champ Jamal Hill's that. Yeah. Or Pereira could take that and go get the Glover Teixeira Revenge Tour finished up, because he beat Blachowicz, he beat Yuri Prohaska, and yeah. And I know Blachowicz didn't beat Glover, but still, yeah. So yeah. And then the last one would obviously be somebody, I forget who I thought he should fight last. Oh, Jan Blachowicz, because he's a guy that likes to do unfinished business type fights, and obviously the Blachowicz draw, which saw him almost win the title, but didn't, even though he probably should have. So yeah, really like what I saw from Ankalaev, straight punching as always. And he improved, showing us that he checked the kicks, and that's really what I wanted most out of him on that night, because checking the kicks is his weakness, and if you can improve where you're weakest, if you can improve where you're the weakest, you're a better fighter. Co-main event was supposed to be Manel Kape and Matthias Nicolau before Manel Kape once again pulled out. The dude's record is atrocious. So in stepped Jim Miller fighting Gabriel Benitez. 36-17 Jim Miller and 23-10 Benitez. That was a really fun fight. So I was pulling for Jim hard, and I needed him to get out of here without a lot of damage, because he's fought at UFC 100 and 200 and wants to retire at UFC 300, which is in April. It's currently January. What are we doing? He got one more fight in, though, got his payday. Most fights in UFC history, second most subs in UFC history. I mean, the guy is incredible. So Benitez is a dangerous striker. He's a really good striker. I won't say super dangerous, but he's dangerous enough for Jim Miller, who's an older guy. But Miller's crafty. Oh, he's so crafty. So, there's theory in striking to where if you punch up high to a certain side, that's where they're gonna block. Okay, so you throw a hook to this side, to my left, which would be a right hook if you're an orthodox opponent. I'm going to block right here, or if I'm supposed to, I'm going to do it like this. That opens up this other opposite side, so you're supposed to... Jim Miller does that. Now, obviously, this doesn't work when you're like say, I don't know, like Floyd Mayweather, shoulder roll, So I'm fine with it. Boom, boom, we got all my bases covered. Got the shoulder roll, tuck my chin behind my shoulder. This is protecting my body. This is to parry down the jab, and this is to protect my face. So with the shoulder roll, like that kind of negates that. But Gabriel Benitez doesn't use the shoulder roll. So there was a couple points in this fight to where Miller, he would come in. It was really a nice combo early in the first round. He would do an overhand left, then he did a right lead to the body, then a left up top, and then he threw another uppercut. So he comes a left, right hook to the body, and then another left, and then Benitez backing out, and he threw it up. I don't remember what side the uppercut was from. It was really nice, and I was like, wow, that's some crafty stuff. And it was that kind of craftiness that kind of gave Gabriel Benitez the trouble on the night. Jim Miller was the man, and I'm like, yes, he's getting it done. And, Miller had really good success with the low kicks. You could see that massive whelp on Gabriel Benitez's leg. I mean, it was like a blood bruise. It was so nasty. Hope he's okay now. We've seen stories of like compartment syndrome. That's where your muscles like bruise up so bad and they get tight. You cut off circulation to the rest of your leg. Let's see, Austin Hubbard almost lost his leg. Uriah Faber against Aldo almost lost his leg. So yeah, like that's a real concern. And he didn't take that many kicks, but it don't take many. Benitez showed his lack of experience in comparison. Like he's 23-10. The dude's a 33 fight veteran, but Jim Miller's like got more wins than he's got total fights. Yeah. So Miller showed his like experience on the day. It was really good to see him, kind of go out there and show everybody like, hey, I still got it, guys. I'm still good. I'm still that dude. And Jim Miller's just such a likable guy. Third round, Benitez had a really good round pressuring, and it looked like, Jim Miller was kind of struggling in this last round. A little tired, a little slower. Eventually, he shoots, and he got to half guard, and Gabriel Benitez tried to scramble up. I think he tried to elevate his hips, if I recall correctly. And Miller got to the back, got in the body triangle, and rear naked choke, face crank, whatever it was, Benitez tapped. So Jim Miller, he called out Matt Brown. I like that. He called out Paul Federer. Don't like that as much, but yeah, that would be really fun. Let's get Jim Miller on UFC 300. The guy deserves it. He's a legend of the sport, and yeah. So what else was on this card? Ricky Simón and Mario Bautista. So Ricky Simón, I'm a real big fan of. I like his footwork, and I like his head movement. And he showed that in this fight. And I said on Twitter, or X, or whatever you call it, that, Simón's footwork and head movement works until his opponent figures it out. And then he doesn't have another layer of it. And that's been Simón's problem this entire time. If you look at Ricky Simón, he's got, he's had some ups and downs throughout his whole career. And he's never been able to quite put it together. And that's because he runs into somebody like Mario Bautista. So, like, I'm looking at his record right now. He's lost to Song Yadong and Mario Bautista. But, like, he goes on these runs. When he first got to the UFC, he won on the Contender Series. Then he didn't get the contract, fought in LFA. He's got a win over Merab Dvalishvili, Montel Jackson, and Rana Yaha. And then, like, they give him an opportunity to step up. He loses to Uriah Faber in 46 seconds. And then he loses to Rob Font via decision. And then he goes on to beat Ray Borg, Gabriel Pereira, Brian Kelleher, Rafael Sunsao, and Jack Shore. Like, that's another great win streak. That's, 5 on the trot. And then he drops 2 to Song Yadong and Mario Bautista. So how old is he now? Let me see. 31. So he ain't got another year maybe before he's done. 31 years old. Yeah, I really do wish we could have seen more of him. So very early on, it was funny because what's his name? Mario Bautista, like, checked the leg kick by just jumping in the air and lifting his leg. Boing. Like somebody said, like Mario. I was like, that's funny. Somebody needs to add the noise to that. Boing. But Mario Bautista likes to switch stances. We saw that in this fight, and Simón just kind of started to catch it a little bit. I was like, yeah, let's go, Ricky. You looking good, bro. And then he didn't. Like, he got in on a takedown a couple times in this fight and just couldn't. He couldn't get it done. He couldn't keep him there. But he did like some good stuff on the feet. Like I said, Ricky Simón, Mario Bautista through the knee, and Ricky would like pivot around it because the flying knee was all he wanted in that first round. Trying to time that takedown. So Simone eventually, Mario Bautista was like, yeah, we can't do this in the second round. Ricky Simone, he's shoulder rolling, he's hopping out, he's throwing hooks, he looks good, but meanwhile, like, Mario Bautista is just piling up points. And the same thing happens in round 3. Bautista gets the butterfly sweep. I'm always a fan of a butterfly sweep to get up, especially like a reverse butterfly sweep. Like I'm doing some Darren Till some Dricus du Plessis tape study, and Darren Till did that against du Plessis in their fight, and that was, man. I'm not going off on a Darren Till tangent right now. It's not appropriate because it's Darren Till. But like Ricky Simone in like round 3, he's slipping, he's dipping, and he's missing a lot of shots, but he can't land anything because of the amount of offense coming back his way from Mario Bautista. So yeah, really, like, Mario Bautista is a good talent, awesome boxing, explosive, and he's good at creating scrambles. That's something that this is a guy to watch because like he's probably going to be ranked after this win because Ricky Simone was ranked. But yeah, and then obviously Farid Basharat took on Taylor Lapoulias, and Farid Basharat, he's really good. He was seeing my notes right there. He was the other guy that threw an axe kick. He gets in on both legs really well, but he just kind of couldn't keep Lapoulias down. But yeah, no, he's a bright prospect out of Afghanistan. So I really liked him. He was fun. He's 11-0, 12-0 now. I just need to see more out of him because he didn't cause much damage. Taylor Lapoulias just kind of showed out and looked really good. So yeah, we're gonna call it there for now, guys. That's gonna be it. Catch me next week. We'll be talking about UFC 297's main event and all of the other good fights on that card. Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis are fighting, and it's going to be a fun little grudge match. Oh yeah, I got an article I'm writing about du Plessis and Strickland, kind of a preview of that card and what to look for in that. Then we'll be beginning work on facing the giant Mike Tyson, which is a big article with interviews from Mike Tyson's past opponents, 3 of them to be precise. So yeah, that's it. Follow me on the social media stuff down here, my X account, and then obviously my newsletter right there. Drop a sub, drop a review, comment, all that good stuff that helps the channel out. All right. Until next time, guys. Later.